Salutations, everyone. It is time once again for a little build video, a little guide video, etc., etc. My name is Samius, and today we're looking at Paladins. So one of the things I actually got asked a insanely large amount relatively recently was what I thought of the Paladin changes, what do I think about strike through, and I didn't have a good answer for that, so I did a Paladin life. It was the third and final life of my Dragonborn lives. And I have to admit, the final layout of the enhancements are not the enhancements I used while leveling up. I did in fact spend an extra 9 points in my Dragonborn tree so I could get the leap, the last tier of hit points, and the extra healing amp. However, I think this is a pretty reasonable compromise. I played a little bit this afternoon with in epics, and it felt really solid. It felt fine. If I was paying more attention or had some bigger boy toys, I think it would really hold its own at level 20 with what I have, which is not a lot. In fact, if we look at our gear really quickly here, pardon my full backpack because we are getting ready to TR. A lot of the stuff I'm using is like medium, so we're using a part of the family set, which is pretty reasonable, I think. But then for like our charisma item, we're wearing a compliance. Our rings are a ring of power that we've been wearing literally since level 8, and a ring of the stalker. For the seeker, we just every time we got a chance, we basically upgraded that. So yeah, the gear's not great. Our weapon is a regular Sword of Shadows, but it's felt really good. It's felt very strong. Of course, the primary reason that is the case is the changes, not just to Paladin and the Knight of the Chalice tree, but also to Strike Through. Strike Through has been very good. In fact, melee combat over here, our Strike Through chance is 160, which actually feels a little lower than it could be. It could be higher than that. All right, so let's take a look at the feats really quickly here. So basically at level 1 I took two-handed fighting, at level 2 I took completionist, at level 3 I took improved two-handed fighting. At that point I think we became 100% strike through, I believe, at level 6. Level 9 we took improved critical, at 12 we took power attack. If you had taken enough dexterity that you could have the 16 you needed, or sorry, not 16, 13 for precision, you could go either way. Precision may be better in epics. I'm not 100% sure, but power attack seemed pretty good for heroics. At 15 I took stunning blow. Same thing, may not be where you want to be for epics, but I basically played this build on Reaper 3, just myself and my hireling from 1 to 20, and stunning blow did a lot of value for me, to be really honest. I wish I would have taken it earlier. I just don't have a place that I could have really crammed it in. And at 18 I took the greater two-weapon fighting. So yeah, the feats were pretty straightforward. There was a lot of debate for me personally at taking improved healing at a couple of points. I think had I had empower healing, not improved healing, empower healing. I think had I had some people that were like, if I was in a group, like a consistent group, it would have been more likely that I would have done that. I think, just because I'd got more bang out of my buck for healing spells. As it is, for me, it's just so much more efficient to just bring a hireling and have the hireling cast the heal spell on me than try to cast my own heals. For the most part. That being said, my healing amp is 180. I think I could get I had that higher at a couple of points in the game, particularly when I did have the resilience from up here in the top of the Dragon Mark tree. But not in Reaper. We're still hitting 1,000 plus point lay on hands. In Reaper, I think I was getting close to 500, maybe somewhere in that ballpark, which is pretty solid. So not in Reaper mode with kind of the what-ish gear I have here. We're at standing outside of Reaper mode at almost 11,000 hit points. In Reaper mode, it obviously kicks up quite a bit. So let's kind of talk about the highlights and the importances and where if I was going to build this over again, where I would tell you to prioritize your points. I'm not going to step all the way through individual levels like I normally would. I'm going to kind of give you broad strokes because I think you do want to experiment with the Paladin and kind of figure things out. But basically, the 42 points in the Knight of the Chalice tree seem very straightforward to me, right? You want to go up this tree as quickly as possible. You want to get the improved second strikes, again, probably in your first 4 or 5 action points. After that, you have some wiggle room. After that, I feel like you want to take the Lay on Hands next from Sacred Defender. So those are like your first 2 levels with the points. And that feels fine. After that, you can kind of play a little bit. I ended up taking extra Smite and then up to Divine Might just to get that extra boost going. And then my next priority was the Exalted Cleave because cleaves are good. But I wouldn't fault anybody if they wanted to go more hit points first, or even if they wanted to come over here and start playing in the Falconry tree. I actually felt like the Falconry tree was extremely good for the Paladin life. So however you work it out, you do want to have, this is one of the rare times in my opinion where you do want to have your level 12 points freed up to put them into the Knight of the Chalice tree. So if that means you're mixing and matching a little bit here or there, screwing around in other trees, that's totally fine. Have a good time, play with it. But at level 12, you get back over here in the Knight of the Chalice tree and you make sure things are going. Let's see. Quick couple of highlights before we hit level 12 though. Holy Combatant in the, what is this, tier 3 makes great swords a favored weapon. That is the game changer. That is where things become alive. You want to get this thing also as soon as possible. Because you have things like the Sword of Shadows, you have the Echo of the Black Razor. I'm assuming you have some other stuff going on as well. Kind of great sword, some sort of keen thing. Or even if you're level 3 or 5 or something and you're a brand new character, the Nicked Greatsword is fine for the first 4 or 5 levels pretty easily. So you want to be able to you want to take advantage of the strike through, and the best way to do that is with a greatsword. And obviously, to do that, you want to the maximum advantage. You want to have your Holy Combatant for the greatsword. After that, there's a couple of weird highlights that I thought were really good. I actually enjoyed this Exalted Smite. Thought it was very strong. I actually started to really warm up to lead the charge. There were some times that I wasn't a big fan. Because of situations where I felt like I would go past the enemy, or there would be like a laggity type moment. Is the laggity a word? A moment where I would seem to go there and then I'd leash back halfway and my attack would be wasted. But for the most part, I thought it was really good. I don't think I would take it if I knew I was going to continue to have Memory of Flight. I ended up with both. If you go back and watch the live stream videos, you'll know that I had both for lots of different situations. If there was an enemy or a breakable to target, I would use Lead the Charge, because you do need one of those 2 targets to attack an enemy or a breakable item. Where Memory of Flight, you don't have to worry about that, which again seemed really strong to me. Let's see, what was the other thing that was actually really important? Obviously, PRR is really strong early. When you can, getting up to the 20% bonus to hit points is really good. But honestly, the thing, other than the stuff we talked about in the Knight of the Chalice tree, the thing that I felt was most important was getting to the action boost sprint. As you can tell, we have 7 action boosts right now, which is still not like a million. You can get more easily, and I only spent 1 point in the tree just because I just needed to get some extra speed. Like, I didn't need it to be the end of the worlds faster. I just needed something. And actually, if I ever ran out of action sprints, that meant that I was playing correctly. I never really ran out. I always seem to have 1 or 2 left over at the end of a quest. I should have prioritized slamming that button more often. That just shaves time off and saves you time off of the quest. So I really thought that this was very key. Keep an eye on your strength and your charisma numbers on the Paladin. I did have this instead of strength for a while. I had it as charisma. And then there was a point where charisma would not go back to being even in Reapers. So I switched it back to strength because it didn't really matter. Yeah, I thought that was good. Also, bird attacks, I like them. I like them a lot, especially for encountering Reapers. I felt like it was something to give me a little bit of an edge against the Reapers to kind of help. Because otherwise, you can't stun them, you can't trip them. They don't Holy Retribution, which we'll get to in a minute. But, yeah, it was just something that would give me a little bit of an advantage against the Reapers. Alright, so let's see. Let's talk about any of these other things really good. This whole line became very important when I could take it. There's a lot of extra damage in here with holy weapons, which I thought was really strong. But Holy Retribution. Holy Retribution is if it's not a 10 out of 10 enhancement, it's a 9.9999999. Like, it is very, very good. Beef called it a 10 out of 10 enhancement, and he made a lot of examples about how in epics, especially like on Reaper 10s or whatever, because it is a cleave attack, which is something that I didn't notice at first. I just assumed it was a regular attack that strike through was hitting. But since it is an actual cleave attack, meaning that it hits the front arc in front of you, depending on your positioning, it could be meh, or it could be like, oh my gosh, we just killed 7 things. So yeah, keep that in mind. Holy Retribution, definitely one of the better enhancements currently in DDO, in my opinion. That being said, a slow warm-up to me, something that I didn't think was very good, was this Censor Outsiders, which it actually, and Censor Demons, it actually turned out to be very good. This does hit Reapers, so on a Vorpal against a Reaper, you do stun them for 3 seconds, which is often all you need to turn the tide. I kind of wish I would have had it earlier, because there was a lot of times early I was struggling for fighting Reapers, but I had sacrificed points from the Knight of the Chalice to work my way up the Sacred Defender tree a little bit, thinking I really wanted these extra 20% hit points. But in retrospect, I feel like I shouldn't have bothered until after I had everything I wanted over here in the Knight in the Chalice tree. Was there anything else? I think that's pretty much the enhancements. Again, for me, this feels very solid for at level 20, so I would definitely consider checking that out. Then the last thing that I don't think Tobril's build really talked about on the forums, which, by the way, Tobril has an excellent U45 Paladin build. He's updated a little bit here and there. But as a general rule, I'd recommend it, but I would tweak it a little bit based off of my suggestions watching this video. But he didn't go into skills. Alright, so depending on your intelligence, and I started out, I just put enough points in it to be base 10, but because I play so many int-based characters, I do have +7 tome. So I actually ended up with quite a few quite a few skills points along the way. So for me, I was maxing out Intimidate, and then that left me the opportunity to kind of like alternate a cross-class skill every level for a while, or to play catch-up on one. So like, for example, what I ended up doing was for quite a long time, I took UMD on like whenever I could put a full point into it by putting 2 points in it, and when I couldn't, I put the points in heal until I got heal caught back up with intimidate, and then by that point I had unlocked another point, so I was able to heal, intimidate, and alternate between UMD and search. I would like to have had a little bit more search in this build. I also put a few more points in jump here and there to make sure that I could get to those jumps, get to those places. Why my strength is pretty good. It is not la-da for level 20. So I did feel like occasionally I needed some extra jump. I probably could have got away with scrolls, but wearing the armor I was wearing, it didn't seem like a great trade-off. Speaking of the armor I'm using, the Enforcer's Plate does have a blue slot, so you can slot a spell failure reduction gem in it, and you could take 10 off of there, so now you're just down to 25%, which could be enough, like, to just use a jump scroll. I'm not a huge fan of having lots of spell failure when it comes to using my scrolls, but that would work if you'd like to shave those points off and put them in search. But for me, Intimidate, which I almost never clicked because I basically always played by myself. Intimidate was first. Heal, UMD were both in like the second tier, and then Search and Jump were both in my third tier. But if I were to move things around, I'd pull more points out of Jump and put them into Search, just because I can always go get like jump potions from the mountain, the Undermountain quest, wherever this comes from. Can't think of the name of it right now. White Plume Mountain. Thank you, brain. So I could always have gone and got those potions just on casual or normal or something, and not worried about jump here at all, and just focused on search. So again, Intimidate number 1, heal UMD in the second position, and probably search in the third position. And that was with a base 10 and a plus 8 tome. So yeah, I don't know. Spell wise, I have to say the spells were just kind of so-so. I did cast a lot of Pro Evil. I did cast a lot of Divine Favor early. Once I had access to Righteous Command, I used Righteous Command and Angel Skin pretty much primarily. When I finally got a third slot, I took Resist Energy, and then this last slot didn't come until later. When I had access to Prayer, I stopped doing Divine Favor, and I don't even know what I took. Resistance, I guess. But again, it was like, didn't matter. Prayer just happened to have the option of potentially minus an enemy's stuff. And then it was a real fight between Holy Sword and Zeal to start with. I ended up taking Holy Sword first. It is a competence bonus to your threat multiplier and your threat range, which is quite a bit of damage with the Sword of Shadows. I felt like I was critting a lot, like almost all the time, and it felt really good. When I could also take Zeal, I felt unstoppable basically. Let's see if they can let me cast both of these spells now. Yeah, they will. So here they're saying my double strike is 30 and my attack speed bonus is 10, and they're saying that my melee power is 59. However, that doesn't account in the Reaper enhancements, which apparently unlocked another point earlier, which is actually quite a bit. Also a lot of extra strength, a lot of extra charisma, some hit points and some other defenses. But honestly, the tactical DC thing was also very useful. So, yeah, overall, it felt like the class was very strong, very good. Again, I really like the Memory of Flight. I feel like it's a underutilized ability, and you could do a lot worse than a Dragonborn Paladin if you're looking for one. Everybody, thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon. Don't forget to check out the video live, the stream live at twitch.tv/SamusGrobo, or of course here on YouTube/SamusGrobo. And if you enjoyed the video, please hit all the YouTube buttons, like, subscribe, follow, etc. Whatever the buttons are on YouTube, I'd really appreciate it. Alright, thanks for watching. We'll see you again next time. Toodles.